weekend.
Here we go. For the tube. Say hi, tube.
What up, tube?
What's up, tube?
All right. And last but certainly not least, with a quick scan for audio devices,
Mike.
Here we go. Mic is off.
Nice.
For the show. You ready?
Ready.
Do it.
Here goes it. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Business Bros. What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Happy Monday. Unless you're listening in replay, then happy day.
Happy day, whatever day might be.
Hernan Cias here, host of the Business Bros podcast, along with my co-host,
The insurance bro, James Cias with Pipeline Insurance, and as always, another exciting guest. This time, we've got somebody who's going to help you reach your lifetime financial goals.
Nice
See
plug.
what I did there?
I
See
like
what I did
that.
there? All right. Representing Lifetime Financial Advisors, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us, Joe Stenovec.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
welcome to the program.
Hey.
Joe, before we get to know your story, I got one promotional plug. So hopefully you guys came out and we had a great time on Saturday at the beach cleanup, and hopefully there was a good event over there
Thank
at
you all for
Christian's
joining us.
A big heart run on Sunday.
Hey,
But the promo we got today, we just got our shoe drive. We are, it says 196, but I didn't update it. We're officially at 200 pairs of shoes, and our goal is to get to 365 pairs. So if you have new shoes, used shoes, or you want to donate cash, hit James up, 619-884-0045, or James at csfirst.com. He'll hop on his Harley right over there and pick up those bad boys. Biggest donation we had on the Harley so far is 37 pairs of shoes.
On the Harley.
Let's see if you guys can top that. 37 pairs of shoes on the Harley.
Whoop, whoop.
Make him carry bags on his back or something. I don't know.
Love it. I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys got shoes, donate, let us know. We'd love to get those from you guys.
And if you have any charitable donations, charitable causes that you would like us to promote and represent for you, we would be more than happy to do so. Please reach out to either one of us, James at csfirst.com, Hernan at csfirst.com. We will be more than happy to get that information promoted daily on the show for you.
Boom.
Bada bing.
You ready, Joe?
Ready.
All
Here
right,
goes.
man. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you into the financial world?
Sure. So, first, I'm from San Diego, which born and raised here, which I think is pretty rare these days to see somebody that's living here their whole life.
You're basically a unicorn, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, born and raised here, live up in Rancho Penasquitos area. I have 2 boys, 5. Jack will be 5 in a couple weeks, and James is a year and a half.
Good name.
Thank you. And I got into financial services right out of college. So
Where'd you get
graduated,
your degree in?
Finance.
Finance? Okay.
So it was more corporate finance, but I knew that when I graduated, I'm not a Excel spreadsheet guy, you know, and corporate finance is a lot of spreadsheets and analysis. And granted, I do a lot of analysis, but my head's not buried in a spreadsheet all day. So
You
I did
prefer
that
the
in college.
illustration.
Right. And so I started working for a broker dealer. So there's a bunch of different types of structures in the financial services industry. One of those is a broker dealer. So they're actually located here in San Diego, LPL Financial. They're up in the UTC area. So I started in 2007, October of 2007.
Oh, perfect
so
time.
Interesting time to start in the financial services industry. And I was working in the call center, which basically means I was fielding calls from advisors from financial advisors and answering questions and troubleshooting any sort of issues. So it could have been anything from why didn't this IRA distribution go out to why is this new account not in good order? It was anything and everything. And we were taking 80 to 100 calls a day.
Ooh.
So it was a lot of inbound phone calls. And then the financial crisis hit, which was a very interesting time to be on the front line working with financial advisors. Mm-hmm. It went from, and it happened really quickly. A lot of advisors were, marching towards their financial goals with their clients. And then all of a sudden they had to tell their clients whatever it was that you got to change direction.
Yeah, it changed directions for you.
And I learned a lot working with advisors during that time. Number one is you have to always set expectations and reset expectations and reset expectations again. Because
What do you mean by that? Like, are you talking about like every time I meet quarterly or annually or whatever review time I sit with the client? Is that the time that I'm setting new expectations?
It's through education. It's through, through the meeting process. When we meet with clients, we do it. And it's through just general information that we send out to our clients, and so resetting the expectations, and also what do they expect from us? What do you expect from the market is one thing, but what should you expect from us and our engagement and the relationship that we have? Because we look at the relationship you have with a financial advisor as very, very sacred, because money is a very difficult thing for people to talk about.
And by title, it's like a fiduciary responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So, but honestly, it's very therapeutic. When you're sitting with someone, like you were saying, talking about their money, there's a lot of people who don't really open up very easily. Correct. You got to dig a little deeper. You got to build that trust, right?
You absolutely do. Non-judgmental, But yeah, like I think a lot of people, they don't know, because you think about it, you look around and you just don't know what everybody's personal financial position is. Oh, no, and everybody thinks that everybody's doing better than you, so to open up and talk about money is a really, really challenging thing to do for a lot of people. And so you have to be a very good listener. You have to be a good listener. You have to be able to communicate, and then getting back to the setting of the expectations as well.
Isn't it weird how when you sit down with a client the very first time, very little is discussed about their finance. Most of it is story and why. Like, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it where are you today and where do you want to go? Much of the planning has to do with what their outlook is in their own life. But oftentimes they don't think about, they're having a hard time. I don't know about the clients you work with, but most people I sit down with are having a hard time living month to month. I mean, they might make, $200,000 a year, but they're still living month to month. And so you got to help situate and figure out where is it that you are today and where do you want to go? What lifestyle are you leading? What kind of, debts are you working on? What situation did you put yourself in? And where do you see yourself going?
And that's a really hard question for a lot of people to answer. And so you have to, and it takes time for a lot of people. They may not necessarily know the answer to that question, or they know it and they want to get there quicker than what's realistic.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that quickness, because the realistic is the ideal thing here, right? When I talk to people about, they hear things like, well, if I invest in this, IPO, then, I can make it big time and, I can make a lot of money. That's where the money's at. Like I read in Rich Dad Poor Dad that you got to be the person who sells the stock, not the person who buys the stock, right? And the thing they don't understand is, although that's true, you, my friend, are not what we call an accredited investor yet. The opportunities that are out there, I can't even talk to you about because you're not in a financial position to be able to take that. As a fiduciary, you have certain responsibilities. So, how do you sit down with a client and kind of get them in a position where we kind of understand, where that education level comes in, where we get to understand that overall picture? Look, this is where we're at. It's not overnight. This is not a 1-year plan. This is a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 30-year plan. Like, what I'm thinking about next month, but you're talking to me about years down the road.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Now, what I like to tell my clients is that they're all, they're goals, but they're ultimately guesses. Because as soon as somebody comes in and then we do a financial plan for them and then they leave, the minute they leave, that information is no longer, it's not an exact science. As soon as they leave, adjustments need to be made. It's a living, breathing thing, living, breathing document. So I would say it's, understanding in an ideal world what they want to accomplish. And oftentimes it comes with trade-offs. So here's the reality is, for some people, they may not necessarily be able to achieve everything that they want to achieve. But it's how do you prioritize those things? It's what's really, truly most important to you. And, and that's, as an advisor, you may not even realize that an advisor is willing to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you know, a lot of people think advisors, well, they're just going to tell me how to invest my money. Yeah, a lot of them do, but that's not necessarily always the case. So it's really important to understand, well, you know, what are you as the advisor willing to listen to? And it's understanding, in an ideal world, what are all those things that you would like to accomplish, but starting to prioritize those things. And maybe today it may feel like a pipe dream, whatever it is, but maybe if you do these things and you change behavior today and you make slightly different choices today, then 25, 35 years from now, you can achieve whatever it is that you're out to achieve.
I like that. The change, those small little habitual changes. Compound interest has been called the eighth wonder of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
The magic of compound interest. You put money in, you do it consistently on a regular basis, and over time it'll generate a return on investment, compounding itself and creating future wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest things that people forget in that compound interest theory or mathematical equation is time. Right? That time factor plays a huge role in what you accumulate, because, you know, when people sit down and actually start thinking about putting money away for retirement, it's usually when they're 45, 50,
Yeah.
when they're like 10 years away from retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, they're trying to hit the fast forward button.
Right.
And they're trying to put as much as they can because they're ready to retire at 55, 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing that's going on? Are we seeing younger and younger people get into this? Are you seeing pretty much the same type of trend? It's the emergency button at like 45. What are you seeing?
Honestly, you see a little bit of both. I would say there's definitely a lot more awareness at a younger age around money and investing and debt. I mean, and I think partly that's because, you know, the millennial generation is, you know, many of them are graduating with student loan debt. And so they're more aware of what student loan debt or just debt in general, what it can do, you know, and that's good debt. Don't look at that as bad debt, you know, but there's more awareness around money. And at the same time, a lot of younger working professionals, because I work with a lot of young professionals specifically because of this, because I want them to be in a position later that they can do what they want,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and have flexibility.
That's funny because I'm a lot the same way. My wife's statement, I've been working on it for a while. It's to help you become a better you by helping you find purpose and happiness in life, right? And you said something like that kind of I've been pushing a little bit in the other direction. You called student loans like good debt, right? And I teach high school, and I've been really contemplating that. It's been super expensive. There was a time, I mean, when I was getting ready to go to college, right, where the concept was you go to school, you go to college, and you figure out what it is you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But today, like, to figure it out can be an expensive mistake.
Yep.
And so, you know, like, I don't know if student loan is exactly the good debt that it used to be back in the day. I think student loan could really debilitate you when it comes to your personal finances going down the road. I'm more of the Gary Vee mentality where it's like, you're young, dude. Live as inexpensive as you possibly can, and then figure out what makes you happy and start to make some money at that. Because I know so many people that are skills based. They have a vocational skill. They're contractors, carpenters, plumbers, welders, whatever it is, and they make a very good living.
Absolutely.
Well, they need that advice to help put that money away just as much without having that student loan debt.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
And so, college isn't always the ultimate route.
Right.
There are some people that school, it works for you, it clicks. And even then, you're going to go to school and get a degree that you're never going to use again in your life. Mm-hmm. So kind of, for me, that debt thing is almost like, you better be 100% sure that this is the route you want to go if you're taking on the debt.
Right.
But I mean, what are you seeing out there as far as income generation? Is it mostly still in the bachelor's degree, working in that field range, do you think, or you seeing a lot more skill based?
I would say it's kind of all over the board, but if you had to pin me down for an answer, I would say it's more common to see the college degree and the income. But I am starting to see more that did not graduate decided not to go to college and started earlier. And as long as they're getting the good advice, you know, when they're starting, whether if they're not going to college and they're doing the right things with their money from the get-go, then yeah, you can put yourself in a very good position, especially with those trade jobs, you know, plumbers, electricians, etc. I mean, that's skilled labor. And I think that a lot of people don't look at that as a career for whatever reason, because of the fact that most people still, society in general, thinks, well, to get ahead, you have to have a college degree.
And that's not necessarily true, right?
It's kind of a stigma, though.
It is
I
a
think
stigma
so.
because think about it. What's the whole purpose of you working to get any job? You want to pay the bills, right? And then put a nest egg away enough so that you don't have to go to work anymore. That's the objective, right? That's the simple truth of whatever your financial planning is. If you would have enough cash flow from your investments and you're 35 years old, you just bought yourself a grip of time.
True. So let me point something out, what you just said. So a lot of people, that is their focus, meaning they're working in their job, their career, and they're focused on putting away as much money as they can so they can stop doing whatever it is that they're doing. And that's kind of like the definition of starting to plan for retirement. That's your ultimate objective. So what if because I believe that we're all living a lot longer than we anticipated. What if you went into a career and you worked in that career for 10, 15 years? You went back, you resharpened your tools in terms of your knowledge base, and then you went into a different career. And because what I see in our older clients is that those that are retired are a lot healthier than they expected themselves to be when they're 82, 83 years old. And who knows how long they're going to live. And they've been retired for 15, 20 plus years. So what if you, assuming that you're going to have decent health for an extended period of time, what if you just kind of shifted your thinking a little bit and your mindset and got into something that you truly love doing, that you can do for more than, the traditional retire at 65.
I love that. That's something we say all the time on the show. I'm like, I actually don't like the word retirement anymore. Because for me, it's that mindset of you're going to work for 30 years at a job and then you're going to stop working. Well, you also stopped having a purpose. Like, you've conditioned your body every day to wake up, go to work, do that job every single day. And if you conditioned yourself that now it's over, you've also conditioned your body that now it's over. And people tend to not have purpose and then physically die because they don't have purpose anymore.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
So for me, it's not about retirement. It's about figuring out what makes you happy and then how do you monetize that? Because if you can figure that out, you're never going to stop doing it.
You're going to
right? Yeah. You're going to wake up every single day. You would have done that for free. Right? That's the thing you love to do. If you can figure out how to make enough money, and I'm not saying you're going to make millions of dollars. I'm just saying enough money to survive, to live the lifestyle that you want to live. If you can do that, doing the thing you love, you're right. You're going to be 82, 90 years old, 100 years old. As long as you can physically do that thing that you enjoy doing, you're going to be doing it. And you have purpose.
Exactly.
Right? You have purpose. Every single day, you're going to wake up in the morning and be like, yes. You're going to love waking up. It doesn't matter whether it's Monday. You don't care that it's Monday. You don't care that it's Friday. You're doing this every single day anyways. And that's you're right. It is a mind shift. It's a paradigm shift, really. I mean, how are you looking at the world? And I think part of it is how we've been conditioned. We're growing up and our mindset is based on what our parents taught us and what their parents taught them. Right. And so we have our kids today, and what are we trying to do to them? Are we trying to teach them from what we learned? Like, we grew up in a different time. I grew up out when you'd go play outside until the lights came on. Right. I don't even let my kids go down the street today. Right. Yeah. I didn't have, we had Nintendo, right? But we didn't have the internet, and that didn't exist until, I was coming out of high school, and then we were dialing up to AOL at that point. You know what I mean? So they're living in a completely different world. But if I give them the old antiquated rules that I grew up in, I think we're holding them back. Well,
and you think about it, like growing up, for myself and probably you guys and most people, our parents did probably, for a lot of us, they did say, follow your passions. It's like the thing that everybody talks about, follow your passions and what truly makes you happy. And yet, are you doing that?
Well, I'll give you an example. I mean, I know that when a baby, for example. A baby wants to learn. It doesn't matter what it is. They want to learn speech. They want to be around you. They want attention. They want to do everything because they want to advance. And that happens to that kid all the way up. I'm going to say about 10 years old. Something happens around 8 to 10 years old to about 16, 17, 18 that they lose that ambition to want to learn. All of a sudden, learning is a chore. Mm-hmm. It's something they have to do every day. They gotta go to school. They hate learning. And then you leave school and you realize, life knocks you around a little bit. You're like, hey, I like to do this. I want to learn a little bit more about it. And then you start learning it again. You find that passion to learn and that drive to want to know more things. And that kicks in a little bit later. But you don't realize that till it's like 30, 35 at that point, right? Yeah. But my thing is there's that little gap. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way our school system is designed. It's pounding education into their head rather than opening their eyes to what's possible. Because you open somebody's eyes to what's possible, they want to learn. Like this whole ADHD thing and ADD, like I'm not a big proponent of that. I don't believe in it because I think that kid is definitely focused in the thing that he wants to focus on. The problem is I'm trying to focus his attention on something he doesn't care about. Right? He's not a Shakespearean kid. This kid wants to fly drones or play, esports or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, when we're talking about following your passion, part of it is everybody's designed a little bit differently.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you got kids of your own. Mm-hmm. So we live in a screen heavy age.
Right.
What do you think about that? What do you think you're going to be like with your own kids?
It's so it's funny you bring that up because it's just starting with Jack, who's going to be 5 next week. And for example, he's really into dinosaurs right now, and he wants to be a dinosaur for Halloween. And so I showed him, I just went on Amazon. I was like, okay, let's find a dino costume. And I showed him the dino costume on Amazon. And now all of a sudden he wants my phone or my iPad. He's asking me, Daddy, can I look at dinosaur costumes? So he wants my phone. So he's starting to get that screen time. I mean, I'm saying no because I'm trying to, and that's something that my wife and I talk about too, is like, when do you truly introduce that? When do you allow screen time? And I don't know.
I'm with you. I mean, it's hard to tell. Like every kid, and first of all, kids never born with a manual. I don't know.
Or parents,
right? We don't know exactly what we're doing. We're kind of figuring it out as we go. So giving parental advice is tough. I'm just going to tell you how I personally feel about it. We didn't have that screen time growing up, right? But 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we didn't even have, I don't know, like iPhones or none of that existed. My first phone was in 2000 and it was a phone.
Yeah. The old Nokia.
Yeah. So imagine what's come about in the last, 10, 15 years. What's life going to be like in the next 10, 15 years?
I know.
If I prevent my kid from learning everything he possibly can on screens, am I holding him back? In a world where that's what's going to exist,
that's everything around him and everybody else around him.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like on the one hand, do I want him to interact with us on the kitchen table? Like we have a rule. I mean, it's my wife's rule, but it's our rule anyways, right? There's no electronic devices when we're at the table. Like no TVs on, no radios on, no phones, no nothing, because we interact. But aside from that, what about the rest of the day? I mean, the kids are, when you go to school, the kids are on their laptops.
They're on their screens. Yep.
And when they're not on their screens, they're on their phones. And, they're more social today than they've ever been. But it's just a different world.
Completely different world.
So do you hold them back? Like I was listening to Gary today, and he was talking about this exact topic, actually. He's like, we stopped, when I was growing up, my parents stopped us from playing video games. But today, and in the next few years, some of the top paid people are going to be esports
gamers, right?
Esports gamers.
Yep.
Like your mom told you you're never going to get anywhere playing video games, and now look where we're at. And I, and that sort of stuff sticks in my mind because I'm like, my daughter, she loves soccer. She'll play soccer all day long. My son doesn't like sports at all. So where do I put him?
Right.
What do I do with him? He likes business. He sold something on eBay. Yeah, good job, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Where do you think your kids are going to end up? Are you going to be the proponent for them? And are you going to be playing chess? Are you going to look at what's happening and kind of push that envelope, or are you going to kind of keep it traditional to the way you grew up.
I'm going to try to, kind of guide them, but I don't want to, ever come from a place of judging those choices that they make when it comes to their career. If that is entirely up to them. I can bore them with facts, but maybe whatever it is that they're deciding is something that they're thinking further ahead than what I'm thinking about, based on the past.
Yeah.
So I like to hope that, I'm flexible in that way, and that, I do encourage them to try new things and, stay out of trouble as much as you can, but try new things and, think about how whatever it is that you enjoy, is there a way that you can make money from doing that? And I do coach, even talking to clients' kids about this that are either graduating from high school and trying to figure out what they, that are going to go to college and trying to figure out what they want to study. And I talk to them about what the financial services industry is like, what finance is like, what Wall Street is like, and it's not necessarily always what is portrayed on TV,
right?
It's
not always Wolf of Wall Street,
right? So, I like to hope that, I'm never, and hopefully my son is listening to this in 5-10 years or watching this, but I hope I'm never trying to push him into anything. And, with being married, and my wife and I, we're going to have to help each other with that and kind of call each other out if we ever are doing that.
How long have you guys been married?
It'll be 8 years in October.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have a 5-year-old, so maybe you're starting to see it too. But your biggest squabbles are going to come in what you think the kids should do. Yeah, right. You're like, I don't know. I don't think that's very bad. Or the other ones that we get into is go ask your mom.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's always the big one.
Or if I say no, he'll go to mommy and tattletale on me.
Yeah,
that's his thing right now.
No, but I like how you answered the kid questions, and mainly because I always feel that the way that you are at home is how you tend to be with your clients, right? I mean, that kind of guidance is valuable. It's not selling to sell a product, right? Mm-hmm. You're not coming in with the idea, I'm going to sell a fixed index annuity right now, or your index universal life policy, that's what's going to happen. You're sitting down and talking to the client and trying to figure out what is it that you want and how can I best meet that need. Mm-hmm. And you do that at home. It sounds like you do that at home with your kids. You're opening the door to their possibilities, not to what you think is going to happen.
Right.
And to me, it sounds like that's what you're doing with your clients too.
Yep.
So kudos to you, man.
Think so. Yeah, thank you.
Man, dude, I don't know about you, but I personally like it. For me, the whole personal finance thing, that's the little spark for me. It's like when I sit down with somebody, like I teach a class called financial algebra. I teach high school students.
Really?
We just finished the section on employment. I just starting today on banking. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different topics like that. And so just being able to talk to them like today, we sat down and talked a little bit about debits and credits. It doesn't go into a huge extent, right? We're not doing trial balances or anything like that. But it's just giving them story after story after story of what I've experienced so that they don't step in the same holes that I've stepped in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So are you familiar with Junior Achievements Finance Park?
Yes, sir. We're actually doing the Junior Achievement company program.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, we're looking for mentors. You want to be a mentor?
We should talk because we do. So I'm in the Financial Planning Association. So there's chapters, FPA chapters throughout the entire country. And every year we go to JA Finance Park and a school, these are typically middle schoolers.
Mm-hmm. We do the senior class.
You do?
12th graders.
Okay. They come in and it's a very cool program.
Super cool.
And for a day, they get an avatar. Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay. So we do that every year, and time and time again, the reaction is exactly the same from the kids. Wow. I didn't know how expensive it was to live.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then it kind of opens their eyes to my parents are paying for my cell phone. I actually now they have a little bit more of an appreciation for it.
Yeah, 100%. I remember I took my students 2 years ago. Last year we didn't have funding for it, so it didn't happen. But 2 years ago, and it was funny because I had a kid. He's like, Mr. CS, no, even in the simulation it doesn't work. I'm divorced with 2 kids. But I mean, they get the simulation, right?
Life.
So it's life. This is your scenario. Make it work, right?
Figure it out.
And so I love it because you go to different stations and you have the advisors there with you, and they kind of walk you through the scenarios. But you go ultimately make your own choices, and you're going to decide. You know, is that the insurance policy I want? Is that the car I want? Is that the finance? Like, you make all the choices, and the end you get an evaluation. Like, did you put anything away? Were you able to? Did
you make it?
Yeah. Did you win in life? Yeah. So no, yeah, I love it, and we're actually doing that with Junior Achievement right now. I just finished all the pre-surveys for the entrepreneur program. So I think it's called Junior Achievement Company Program, or entrepreneurs, or young entrepreneurs, I think it is. I forgot what the name of it is, but yeah, they have a great program, and LPL is one of the sponsors then, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's totally cool. That's totally awesome. Then I definitely will be hitting you up because they told me, see if you can find mentors.
Absolutely. I'm all about giving back, especially with the younger kids, because personal finance, I mean, you can Google it. You know, you can Google anything that you're trying to self-diagnose when it comes to financial planning. You can do it online.
Oh, 100%.
But, you know, who are you taking that advice from online?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, I give my kids the analogy of playing Monopoly. I'm like, first time you play Monopoly, you probably sucked at it. You didn't do good, but the only reason you didn't do good is because you didn't know the rules. The second time you play, you know the rules of the game. Now you have a chance at winning.
Right.
And that's the same thing for life. If you don't know the rules of finance, you're going to get rolled over. Everybody's going to take advantage of you. But as soon as you know the rules, now you have a chance at winning. So it's just a matter of going out there and learning the rules.
Learning it and getting education from, you know, reputable people. If you're like for a young child, if their parents are working with an advisor, then that kid, if it's a high school student, then he should try to reach out to that advisor and talk to them and just get some financial advice. And I hope their advisor is trying to proactively even reach out to the kid, because it's the earlier you can instill those core values and those core, just the core understanding of money, it'll help you so much. And you have no idea, like, because I remember taking an econ class in high school, and that's kind of what spawned the interest in finance in general. And I had no idea how impactful that was going to be on my life, now almost 20 years later. And
even then, those are pretty vague topics. We're talking supply, demand, macro, microeconomics. I mean, they're not personal finance per se, right? Mm-hmm. But it sparked something. It made you want to learn a little more.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. It's amazing what happens when that little spark happens, and you decide you want to learn. And I tell my students all the time, I can tell you all kinds of stuff, but it's not going to matter until you decide that you want to learn it. Once you decide you want to learn it, then the floodgates are going to open, right? Because then now all of a sudden, now you're the type of person who's like, heck yeah, like, give me more. I have one kid right now in my class, and he's reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he was being sneaky about it. He was like reading it, and then I would come around, and he like put the book away, pretending to be doing his work, and I saw the purple, and I was like, yo, dude, what is that? What are you reading? He's been asking me questions about, what's the difference between a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA.
That's awesome.
And he's getting an idea. Like he went and looked at a brokerage account, and he's like, look at this account. I obviously don't have $50,000, but
did you introduce him to Tasty Trade yet?
Not yet. But just the fact that he's thinking about it, right? That he's going out of his way. He's like, this is the first book I ever read. I'm like, yeah, it's funny, me too. That's awesome. But I was assigned books, but I didn't read them. That one, you chose to read it, and it makes a big difference.
That's beautiful.
Besides,
love that.
As reaching out as a financial planner to the young ones, that's your future client. So you definitely want to reach. Exactly. Absolutely. They're the ones who are going to get to work at some point. All right. Ask the bros. So you feel free to ask us any question you like, personal or business.
Okay.
You can ask James directly, or you can ask me, or both.
I guess both of you guys. What advice would you give? Let's stick on the topic of kids. Mm-hmm. So we've been talking a lot about that. what advice would you give somebody that's just entering your field today?
Just entering our field today. Insurance. Good question. What advice would you give somebody who's entering? We'll stick to insurance. I won't do the real estate. I'll do insurance, but it's pretty much.
We're doing the
thing.
insurance.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to? Well, we're talking about someone pretty
18.
young,
Just starting
I'm
out,
assuming
yeah.
just
18 years
graduating
old,
18.
just getting a license.
Oh man.
That's a toughie, huh? 18
You know what
years old?
you know what I'd say is figure out what your friends are doing, and find ways to highlight the liability exposure that they are facing. So when you're 18, you're trying all kinds of different things. I mean, you might be going out and just getting a job as a lifeguard down here at what used to be Not Soak City. What's it called now? Aquatica, right? Could be doing something like that. Not a whole lot of liability necessarily there, but maybe you're going to drive a car. So, you got that stuff going on. But then you're 18 and you go and work with your uncle as a painter. So there's the liability exposure right there. There's what we're talking about. You start learning your trade as a construction worker, and there's something else that you've got going on. We've seen a lot of young people going into the real estate space as well. So,
My advice would be turn your social media into your channel. This is going to be the spot where you're talking about what's going on. Stop posting things like last night having shots at the bar. Start posting things of value, right? What's making a difference in your life? What is it that you're doing? When did you decide to make a change? What did you learn today? Start becoming the expert on a regular basis on what it is that you're doing, because over time, that's going to be part of when you're assessing risk, when you're talking to people on a regular basis and you're showing them what opportunities are available. Then on top of that, there's a social media content showing your proof of concept over and over again that you're bringing value. It's just going to give you more and more credibility. If I'm thinking of an 18-year-old kid that's starting out, I remember being 24 or 25 when I started writing my first tax returns, baby face. People don't want to look at you and take you serious when it comes to anything in the personal finance section, much less on the insurance section. What are you talking about risk, dude? You haven't risked anything yet. You're a baby. But if you have that social proof behind you, if you have concept, you're providing value all the way through, and then at the same time you're speaking like a professional, like that's gonna change your reality pretty quick. Yeah. But expect to do it consistently on a regular basis, because it's not gonna happen overnight.
That's right. It's good advice.
Cool.
And maintain those friendships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maintain those friendships. Maintain those relationships.
Hashtag powerful relationship.
Hashtag powerful relationships.
All right, we're going to have you look at this camera right here, and there is a banner so you can point down in case you forget any of your contact info. It happens from time to time. But go ahead and tell people, how do they get a hold of you if they want to work with you?
So best way to reach me is either by phone or email. My email is joe.stenovec@lfa-inc.com, or you can reach me by phone at 760-943-0430.
Boom.
There it is.
There it is right there. So, if you're interested, I will reach out to you after about becoming a mentor. And if I have anybody out there who's interested in being a mentor, we're looking for a couple to come to the classroom. It's a 13-week program. I think we need you for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Okay. And I'll let you know as things progress.
That sounds good.
All right. Dude, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I love talking finance. It's always the funnest part of my day anyways. I don't know. Anyways, ladies and gents,
that is your day.
That is my day. Right. That's why it's my favorite part of my day. 365 pairs of shoes is what we're shooting for. We're at 200. So if you got shoes new, used, or you want to donate cash so James can buy some online, I'm throwing it on his lap. 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. He'll ride over on his Harley and pick them up, give you that Instagram post if you like, or stay anonymous. Completely up to you. And then, of course, just a reminder, we're an insurance company. So if you need insurance, or maybe you want to get your insurance license and have an additional income in your office, maybe you do taxes, maybe you're in mortgages, you need a little bit of help generating extra revenue, or another way to keep in contact with your clients on a regular basis, hit us up, 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. We'd love to bring you onto the Pipeline family.
There you go.
That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
And we're out.
All right. Thanks, Facebook.
This is the only room that gets warm, man.